Okay, this video is going to explain the very unique connection that exists between plankton in the ocean and the formation of clouds. So clouds are going to help out with the melting sea ice by forming another supply of lightness to help ricochet light back into the atmosphere instead of being absorbed by the water. So let's go ahead and sketch some water. And we're going to define this as being in the summer. So this is going to be summer in the Arctic, which is the North Pole. All right. So when it's warm out, you have a higher population of what we call phytoplankton in the ocean. So I'm going to put them in right here. I'm going to make them into little green dots. They're green because they have chlorophyll in them, and chlorophyll is what's responsible for photosynthesis. So I'm going to make them green. There's lots of plankton in the ocean. So let me show you guys a picture. This is marine plankton. Plankton means drifter. So anything that just drifts with the ocean current and it's really tiny, it's plankton. And if it's a living thing, it's plankton. It could just be marine snow. But if it's alive, it's going to be called plankton. Okay, so in plankton, you have two categories. You have algae plankton and you have animal plankton. So animal plankton would be like this krill and these animals like the arrowworm right here. But then you have these over here, which are your phytoplankton. And there's the zooplankton right there with the antenna. But these produce oxygen. Actually, most of our oxygen on our planet come from phytoplankton in the ocean. So more on that later. Here we go. So these are going to be my phytoplankton. Okay. So let's see. I'm going to draw a sun up here. Let's make it orange. In the summer, the sun is really intense. Okay, one of the type of rays that is emitted from the sun is something called ultraviolet light. So ultraviolet light is going to hit the surface of the water. So it's going to be UV light. Okay. Ultraviolet light is what causes us to get sunburns, but ultraviolet light, when it hits phytoplankton, is going to cause them to get stressed. So UV light puts stress on phytoplankton. I'm going to zoom in on that a little bit. Okay, this is going to be incredibly gross, but it's what happens. When phytoplankton gets stressed, they fart. Okay, they release a gas into the ocean. All right, so when stressed, they release a gas called DMSP, and the S is sulfur. They release DMSP gas into the ocean. All right. You can pause it if you need to. We're going to move on to the next section. This DMSP gas surrounds the plankton and causes them to build stronger cell walls to withstand the penetrating ultraviolet light. So I'm just going to take my green and I'm just going to make the outer edge of the plankton larger because that's what a cell wall is. It's just like getting a thicker coat in the summer. It's going to help them be more resilient against the harsh ultraviolet lights. Okay, so DMSP gas causes phytoplankton. I'm going to do PP like that. And I'm going to put that over here, PP, phytoplankton, to form a thicker cell wall. All right, feel free to pause it. So this DMSP gas is going to get broken down into a smaller dust-like particle. So this DMSP gas is going to be broken down to our DMS gas. Don't worry about the letters. Just think it's going to go from a gas to a different type of gas. Okay? So this is going to switch. So DMSP becomes DMS. Now, DMS is ultimately going to become a cloud nucleus that water vapor is going to build up on to form a big fluffy cloud. Okay. So I'm going to put DMSP becomes DMS. It's not going to be a gas anymore. It's going to be a dust. Okay. So let's go ahead and circle that DMS dust that this gas became. The gas came from the phytoplankton when it got stressed. Let's move the DMS dust into the atmosphere. Here. This is going to be DMS dust from ocean. To atmosphere. Sorry, my handwriting's not great. It's the scientist in me. All right. So that DMS gas is going to become a cloud nucleus. And a cloud nucleus is just, think of it like a dust ball. It's like that beginning dust ball that just begins to like roll and accumulate things. It's going to accumulate water vapor and form a cloud. So this DMS gas is going to absorb water vapor. I'll illustrate that like that. So the DMS is a cloud nucleus and absorbs water vapor in air. Feel free to pause it. I'm going to keep moving. Eventually, it accumulates so much of that water vapor, we get a huge, well, exaggeration. I'm not sure how big they would be. Just it probably depends on the amount of time. It forms a big cloud. So now we have a cloud formed. And clouds are like a big giant shield against sunlight, and they help cool our planet. So instead of the ultraviolet entering the ocean, it now has a white shield called the cloud blocking it. So the ultraviolet then hits the cloud and goes back into the atmosphere where it belongs. So the cloud forms and it reflects UV light or rays away from Earth's surface. And that's going to help fix the problem that we've caused with the melting sea ice. It kind of replaces the white that we lose when the sea ice melts.